Graduands, guests and colleagues, my name is Mary Haworth and I am delighted to welcome you all to graduation. I have a few announcements to make before we begin so that you can relax and enjoy the ceremony. Graduands, an easy job to start with. Please check that your seat number matches the number on your ticket because you'll be called to the stage in this order. If you discover that these do not match, our team of stewards can help you locate the correct seat. At the appropriate time, you'll be invited by the stewards to stand and to make your way to the foot of the stairs, ready to head up the stairs and across the stage. All very straightforward. There are two key things which make for a seamless ceremony. Firstly, as soon as the person ahead of you begins to cross the stage, please make sure you make your way up the stairs. Please don't wait until they've passed across the stage before you reach the top of the stairs. Secondly, don't let excitement and pride overwhelm you so much that you forget to pick up your degree parchment after you've crossed the stage. If you do, don't worry, you have still graduated, but don't try to go back because you will collide with someone coming the other way. Instead, please visit the graduation information desk in the exhibition centre where you collected your gown 30 minutes after the ceremony to collect your parchment. Graduands, you are asked to raise or doff your cap rather than shake hands with the Vice-Chancellor when you are called on stage. And please feel free to remove your face covering temporarily whilst on stage and pause for a moment at the spot marked X in the centre of the stage for that all-important photo opportunity. At the end of the ceremony, graduates are asked to process out of the hall directed by the stewards. Family and friends, the stewards will show you to the exits once the graduates have left the hall. If the fire alarm should sound at any point, please remain in your seats. Instructions will be given and will escort you to the nearest exit. Today, our graduating students become alumni of the University of York, and you will join an international community of over 140,000 York alums in 180 countries. Your Alumni Association is a vibrant and active global network offering events, services and opportunities that are designed to help you make connections with other alumni across the world and to support your career development. We will be with you every step of the way as you embark on this next chapter, and you'll shortly receive an email giving further details of the ways in which you can remain connected and involved. In the meantime, please follow us on our alumni social media channels on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and check out the Alumni Association website to keep in touch and learn more about life as a York graduate. As you get your first job or take up opportunities for further study or training, please remember to keep us in touch with what you're doing. Understanding the career paths that you take will help us to provide the right support for our current students and make sure we continue to offer graduates like you relevant information and opportunities. I should say at this point that anybody who's watching the live stream of the graduation ceremony, that sometimes the names when they're announced don't always come out as clearly as they might or as accurately as they might in the live captioning, but everything should be recorded accurately in our commemorative brochure. Finally, can I ask you to mute your mobile phones, and if you're comfortably able, would you please now stand?
Good afternoon. I declare this congregation open for the conferment of awards upon all graduates. Please be seated. And a very warm welcome to the University of York. My name's Charlie Jeffery. I'm the Vice-Chancellor of the University. Graduation ceremonies are always special occasions. They're a celebration of our graduates' achievements, and they're a moment of transition with all the excitement and anticipation that comes with our graduates moving on into the next phase of their lives. They're also something else this year. This is the first in-person graduation series for 2 years. Those last 2 years have been among the most extraordinary we'll experience in our lifetimes. COVID has had such far-reaching impacts on our health, our economies, our societies. And amid that, we've seen unprecedented disruption to our operation as a university, as have our graduands in their studies. It's therefore all the more a moment of celebration to be in this hall in person with our graduands today, even with the masks, the tests and all the precautions we've had to get used to. And we're so delighted that family and friends of our graduands can also be with us in person to witness this ceremony and join in our celebration today. You are all most welcome. Sadly, some of our graduands can't be here today, given the difficulties of international travel. Others have had the bad luck to test positive just at the wrong moment. They too are in our thoughts, and we will of course invite them all to a graduation celebration at a point when they're able to attend. I'll reflect more towards the end of the ceremony on the challenges we all, but especially you, our graduands, have had to face over the last 2 years. But now we move into the main part of the ceremony. And with that, and through the power vested in me by the University of York, I have great pleasure in conferring awards on all graduands listed for this ceremony in the graduation programme.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Archaeology. For research in detecting P. millesium residues in archaeology, Edward Standall. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Conservation Studies, for research in examining heritage lists for historic England, Claire Smith. For research in building heritage resilience in York and Amatrice, Alessandra Sprague. For the degree of Master of Arts in Archaeology of Buildings, Rachel Pickering. Rebecca Thompson. For the degree of Master of Arts in Conservation Studies, Historic Buildings, Henrietta Kirkpatrick-Tice. Fraser White. Diane Wilson. For the degree of Master of Arts in Cultural Heritage Management, Amelia Bodis. Max Campbell. Emma Gossage. Isabel Hogan. Oliver Lack. Carla Patricia Loyola Cruz. Emily Merriweather. Katrina Parker. Alex Pinfold. Sonia Pujols Blanche. Yu Tung. Emily Wayne. Jordan Werney. Jennifer Whitehead. For the degree of Master of Arts in Early Prehistory and Human Origins, Hannah Andrews. For the degree of Master of Arts in Funerary Archaeology, Emily Mills. For the degree of Master of Arts in Historical Archaeology, Isabel Carter. David Stapley. For the degree of Master of Arts in Material Culture and Experimental Archaeology, Jessica Cooson. Enya Horton. Philip Rethwich. Annie Searle. For the degree of Master of Arts in Medieval Archaeology, Curtis Goldstraw. Madison Revis. Yannick Signer. For the degree of Master of Arts in Prehistoric Landscape Archaeology, Nicholas Parker. For the degree of Master of Arts in Sustainability Studies, Lucy Alice. Phoebe Trott. For the degree of Master of Science in Bioarchaeology, Alessandro Delano. Thomas Hodkinson. Alexandra Strang. For the degree of Master of Science in Digital Archaeology, Matthew Alcock. Luke Snell. Daniel Yates. For the degree of Master of Science in Digital Heritage, Shoya Chan. For the degree of Master of Science in Sustainability Science, Olivia Jenkinson. For the degree of Master of Science in Zooarchaeology, Helena England. Bethany Fangleton. Megan French. Megan Saunders. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Archaeology, Roland Maynard. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Historical Archaeology, Megan Wigan. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Archaeology, Darcy Eastham. Chloe Parr. Abby Thompson.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in English for research in World Speculative Fiction's Resourceful Futures, Thomas Liebeck. For the degree of Master of Arts in Culture and Thought after 1945, Chloe Darcy. Jay McAvoy. Abigail Wafer. Victoria Wellen Bombelli. For the degree of Master of Arts in 18th Century Studies, Helen Brazier. Charlotte Crawshaw. Libby Horsfield. Rose McKean. Claire Paddison. Alice Swan. For the degree of Master of Arts in English Literary Studies, Sapphire Cook. Saskia Cosma. Sophie Eblett. Isabella George. Alfie Gerzintka. Alicia Greenell. Melissa Jago. Amy Langton. Alexandra Pavlovich. Georgia Sharkey. Olivia Shaw. Alice Skelly. Rachel Smiles. For the degree of Master of Arts in Film and Literature, Eve Froud. Ella Sharashkin. For the degree of Master of Arts in Global Literature and Culture, Misbah Ahmed. Lydia Jones. For the degree of Master of Arts in Literature of the Romantic Period, 1775 to 1832, Chloe Syson. For the degree of Master of Arts in Medieval Literatures and Languages, Georgie Crouch. Georgina Fowles.
Isabel Hedgecock. Jessica Hesketh. James Lovett. Andrea Apothecary. Matthew Walters. For the degree of Master of Arts in Modern and Contemporary Literature and Culture, Mridula Jadhav. Catherine Mann. For the degree of Master of Arts in Poetry and Poetics, Ella Metcalf. For the degree of Master of Arts in Renaissance Literature, 1500 to 1700, Lydia Baldwin. Claudia Miller. Alexander Tilt. For the degree of Master of Arts in Victorian Literature and Culture, Jessica Farnhill-Young. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in English, Aidan William Buttigieg. Sophia Guarda. Adrian Quigley. Elizabeth Colquhoun. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in English and Politics, Grace Franklin.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ensemble Anonimi will perform Come Fly With Me by Frank Sinatra and arranged by Rachel Singer, followed by Respect by Aretha Franklin, arranged by Joshua Adams.
Come fly with me, let's fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come fly with me, let's fly away.
Come fly with me, let's float down to Peru.
Way down to Peru.
In Llama Land, there's a one-man band, and he'll toot his flute for you.
Come fly with me, let's take off in the blue.
Fly me to the moon, and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
In other words, hold my hand. In other words,
Baby, kiss me.
baby, fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore.
You are all I long for, all I worship and adore.
In other words,
Please be true.
in other words, I love you. Oh, Netherlands, it's such a lovely day. Oh, just say the word and we'll beat those birds down to Acapulco Bay. And it's perfect for a flying honeymoon. They say, come on, fly with me, come fly, let's fly, fly, let's fly away.
just a little bit, just a little bit. I'm about to give you all of my money, and all I'm asking in return, honey, is to give me my rose when you go home. Hey, baby, when you go home.
Just a little bit,
Yeah.
just a little bit.
But do I do that?
Ooh, your kisses, sweeter than honey. And guess what? So is my money. All I want you to do for me is give it to me when you get it, baby. Bring it to me when you get home now.
Just a little bit.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-t, take care of TCB. A little respect. Just a little respect.
Just a little bit.
I get tired, keep on trying. You're running out of fools and I ain't lying. Respect.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in History. For research in China in the worldwide eradication of smallpox, Lu Chen. For the degree of Master of Arts in Contemporary History and International Politics, Victoria Allen. John Carr. Madeline Fern. Alex Hudson. Vic Kung Kwok. Mariella Maresca-Hama. Lewis Parker. Ewan Rice Coates. Hannah Walker. Harry Ward. For the degree of Master of Arts in Early Modern History, Amber Burbage. Gemma Dolan. Amy Helliwell. Elizabeth Holland. Kieran Johnson. Alex Morrell. For the degree of Master Arts in Medical History and Humanities, Samantha Hallwood. Alice Hill Woods. Daisy Moran. Zara Louise Stubbs. For the degree of Master of Arts in Medieval History, Louis Deacon. Rachel Harley. Constance Rout. Jessica Solanina. Charlotte Tompkins. James Woodman. For the degree of Master of Arts in Modern History, Thomas Dunstan. Gerald Hederick. Declan Hodson. Aaron Jenkins. Matthew Malloy. Daniel Swift. Adam Taylor. Stephanie Wilson. Alexander Wing. For the degree of Master of Arts in Public History, Jack Everson. Alex Fagelman. Michael Hobbs. Sophie Mitchell. Dana Prash. Monique Stone. Stephanie Ward. Laura Woodman. For the degree of Master of Arts in Renaissance and Early Modern Studies, Chantel Berry. Livy Golby Kirk. Eleni Nicolau. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in History, Bethany Marshall. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in History and Philosophy, Zumarik Khan. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in History and Politics, Charles Kaiser. Tobias Knight. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in History and Politics with a placement year, Federico Rue de Grassi.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in History of Art for research in Unlocking the Museum Secretum, Rebecca Meller. For research in Ambrose McAvoy, 1877 to 1927, a painter of excellence shaped by artistic influences, Lydia Miller. For the degree of Master of Arts in History of Art, Molly Barron. Freya Cox. Benjamin Elliott. Isla Fannin. Christopher Hayes. Susan Kelsall. For the degree of Master of Arts in History of Art, Architectural History and Theory, Jennifer Mitchell. For the degree of Master of Arts in History of Art, Medieval Art and Medievalisms, Maisie Dyson. Sophia Kuakulu. Alfie Robinson. Sebastian Ubiali. For the degree of Master of Arts in History of Art, Modern and Contemporary Art, Yang Feng. For the degree of Master of Arts in Stained Glass Conservation and Heritage Management, Li Bojin. Melissa Polke.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in Medieval Studies. Daria Akapina. James Burns. David Elliott. Daniel Figg. Liam Greenacre. Georgia Harland. Alice Johnson. Phoebe McGowan. Eleanor Springham. Louisa Velashchik. Laura Welch. And for the degree of Master of Arts in Conservation Studies, Alexandra Kars-Seipstein.
It is my enormous pleasure to introduce Claire Paddison, student orator who will speak on behalf of the class of 2022. Our student orators have been invited to speak in recognition of their hard work on behalf of the student community and commitment to their studies. Our speakers have both pursued the most enriching experience they could during their time at York, as well as giving back to their community. On behalf of the class of 2022, I give you Claire Paddison.
Good afternoon, class of 2022, distinguished guests, friends and family. It would be remiss of me to not begin by mentioning how delightful it is to finally meet you all face to face, to smile at you from outside a Zoom box and to chat and laugh with you without pressing unmute first. Throughout this challenging year, I thank you for your friendship, persistence and resilience, and it is to that resilience that I will now speak. I consider my love of learning a foundation of my being. When I was a child, I wanted to be a mermaid, or a dinosaur, or a combination of both, like a plesiosaur. That is a failed, although ongoing, dream, so my second dream was to go to university. My earliest memories are my own mum forging through her degree, and sitting beside her as a young child as she watched lectures. And watching her graduate was one of the cornerstones of that foundation, and I knew early on that I wanted to learn forever. So when I started my university journey in 2016 at the University of Leicester, I assumed it would be plain sailing. And instead, I faced many personal challenges, and some that shook those foundations to crack and crumble. But I used my degree to consistently give me one goal, a graduation. In my mind, a graduation would be the crowning glory of my healing process. I would walk across a stage to success, I would prove him wrong, and I would finally feel like I had achieved something. But instead, like many of you, I finished my undergraduate in a childhood bedroom of a town I no longer called home, to no fanfare bar online submission, and I wondered whether any of that persistence and resilience was worth it. So I clung to the memory of York, where even from the open day I was welcome here. York's campus is built around connecting friends, and I'm told that makes walking to lectures really long, but I've only ever logged onto a lecture, so I can just attest to the connection part, and that is true. Because if you walk around this campus with an acquaintance, they will quickly turn into a lifelong valid friend. At every step of this difficult year, the University of York has supported us. Endless emails updating us of the situation but asking how we felt, faculty organising wine and cheese nights and lots of quizzes, and the library staff sending me parcel after parcel of books all over the country. York's campus may be built around connection, but York Online was too. Class of 2022. Whether your journey to get here has been difficult like mine or not, I can confidently say your last year has been. And I can also say confidently that only we understand that struggle. I, like you, am so grateful for the friends, family and faculty here celebrating us today, but they don't truly know how hard we've had to push to be here, how resilient we have had to be. I often cannot face myself from 2016. I still can't face that sad graduate in 2020. But today, I can face that little girl that wanted to be a plesiosaur or a professor and say we tried, and say we did it. So I invite you too, class of 2022, to look back at your journey, look back at how far you've come, look yourself in the eyes and say you're proud, because you should be. Because the race is long, and in the end, it's only with ourselves. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to introduce a message of congratulations from Honorary Graduate of the University of York, Dame Sharon White.
Hi, I'm Sharon White and I'm Chairman of the John Lewis Partnership, which owns Waitrose and John Lewis. I'm also privileged to be an Honorary Doctor of the University of York. I wanted to say an enormous congratulations on your graduation. Many, many, many congratulations on your success, particularly with all the trauma and challenges of studying during COVID. I'm sure with both all the sort of anxiety of COVID itself, but also the sort of roller coaster of face-to-face and online teaching. You've made it, you've reached the finish line, and that's something hugely to be celebrated. What is so fantastic about the University of York, and it's a pleasure for me to have this association with the university, is the focus on social purpose. And it's something that also sits right at the heart of the business that I run, the John Lewis Partnership, which is very much centred on people and the importance of work and the importance of social mobility. I'm sure you'll be thinking about what happens next after university. Perhaps some of you will be staying on to study further, others of you perhaps thinking about the world of work. And I hope and confident that the focus on purpose, on meaning, on doing good, making a difference, particularly at this time when so much is changing in our world. The labour market is changing. All our expectations about what we want from life and work have changed so dramatically during COVID. I wish you every success and all the best in finding work that feels as much like a vocation and a pleasure as it does like a piece of employment. So many congratulations again, and I hope you have great fun celebrating.
Graduates, guests and colleagues, graduation ceremonies are among the most special parts of my job. They mark the creativity, the energy, the passion, the sheer hard work, the resilience that you, our graduates, have put into your studies. I've just had the privilege of being the first person to congratulate each graduand as they became a graduate. And I can now be the first person too to tell you how proud the university is of you. And I'm sure that your supporters, family and friends agree. So I ask them, along with my colleagues, to give you another round of applause. That round of applause was longer than it used to be before COVID. That says something. The University of York is a special place. It's less than 60 years old. It's already regarded as one of the UK's best universities and has a great reputation worldwide. And it does well on all the measures we use: quality of teaching, excellence of research, prospects of graduates, very important, and impact on the economy. They all confirm that strength, that reputation, that quality. But there's more to it than that. Our work is underpinned by powerful values. Our founders set up the university for public good. Our students weren't just to be technically proficient in their fields, but also to be able to apply their learning for social benefit. We were to care, I quote, more than almost anything else about ensuring access to university education for those who'd previously not had the opportunity. And our research was intended not just to open up new knowledge, but also to apply that knowledge with and through its students for, I quote again, the amelioration of human life and conditions, or to put it another way, for public good. Those values were, I think, captured quite wonderfully in the message of congratulation we just heard from Dame Sharon White. Now, I said at the opening of the ceremony I'd give some further reflections on the challenges we've all faced over the last 2 years. I think our values, our commitment to public good at the University of York have been vital in the way that we responded to those challenges. You may remember that a little less than 2 years ago, we were the #1 item in the news, the centre of national and international attention when York saw the first confirmed COVID cases in the UK, one of them a student of ours. Little did we know, amid the media maelstrom at the time, that this was just a prelude. Since then, COVID has taken a horrifying toll. We've seen over 5.5 million deaths worldwide, more than 150,000 here in the UK. Many millions more have been ill, many of them badly so. Our economies have been severely disrupted. We've endured so many restrictions on normal social life. Little did we know all that 2 years ago when we had those first cases in York. But there was something in that experience in January 2020 here at the university that set a tone which has endured. So let me pick out some recollections from our first encounter with COVID in January 2020. First and foremost, there was an extraordinary sense of shared purpose that arose immediately across the university community. Even though things were uncertain, nobody knew much about COVID at the time. Students, staff and people across the city came together. It was heartening, for example, to see Samara Jones, the then president of our Students' Union, on the front steps of the university before the amassed TV cameras and a frenzied and manic and slightly panicky pack of journalists, basically saying, "You lot, keep calm, we've got this. And when we set up a call centre to deal with all the many anxious inquiries that came our way, we had more volunteers from among our staff to handle those calls that you could shake a stick at. They understood the anxiety that people felt, and they responded with compassion. And when a tiny minority in the city resorted to stereotypes and scapegoating about where the first cases of the virus had emerged in China, the response in the city and across the university was emphatic. It was, we're not having that here. That is just not acceptable. Instead, the city rallied round. We worked from the off with the City Council, the local NHS, with York St John University just down the road, to manage that uncertain situation. That set a tone which has persisted and been a tremendous asset for the city over the last 2 years. Those responses, shared purpose, compassion, solidarity, collaboration, became emblems of this university's COVID response. Let me pick out a few examples concerning both students and staff. And I'll dwell first on my colleagues and the combination of dedication, hard work and creativity they have applied to teaching and to supporting our students over the last 2 years. At times we had to shift teaching and support services fully online. At others we could only do some things in person. Only recently have we been able to move generally to in-person activity. And as government guidance shifted on several occasions, my colleagues, lecturers, timetablers, technicians, cleaners, have had to adapt again and again and again. And that has, to be frank, been a strain, especially when it was combined with working from home, especially in periods when many had homeschooling to contend with too. I think the shared professional commitment to our students by our staff through all this has been extraordinary. What's also been extraordinary is how all this has been accompanied by continuing outstanding research achievement. Colleagues have found the time and the inventiveness to continue their research. Just look at all the great stories on our website. And of course, some of that research in all parts of the university has been focused on COVID and its effects. What a confirmation our response to the pandemic has been of the value of universities and of the expertise they contain to our society. Extraordinary too was the way staff of all kinds mobilised to support the welfare of our students. We had, and I guess some of you will remember this from your own experience, we had a really difficult moment in October 2020 when over 2,000 of our students were in COVID self-isolation on campus and around the city. We had to make sure they were fed and had other essentials. That was a huge logistical challenge, and we could only master it through staff from all backgrounds volunteering on top of their day jobs to make up food packs, deliver them, phone students to make sure they were okay, and much, much more. So let me record my thanks to my colleagues, and let me call on you, our graduates, to applaud our outstanding staff and all they've done to support you through your time here. Another big part of our COVID response concerns our students. It's been an extraordinarily difficult time, as we heard from our wonderful orator. Teaching having to be delivered in different ways, less in-person contact than any of us would have wanted, and with all those other parts of the student experience, sports, societies, nightlife, at times in part or wholly off limits. Many students have had COVID, many more had to self-isolate. Some struggled financially because part-time work dried up amid all the COVID restrictions. The whole experience has been taxing on mental health and well-being. And to be frank, students had very little in the way of support or even understanding from our government. Now, that sounds like a tale of negatives, but there's more to it than that. It's not the whole story. That's in part because of the commitment of our staff to deliver the best education they could and to support student welfare as best they could. It's in part because our students were so resilient. They adapted to studying in different ways and helped us to understand how best to use online teaching methods in ways which are going to shape our teaching in the future. We learned huge amounts from you and your response to online teaching during COVID. Our students adapted to socialising in different ways, in part online, in part outdoors. When we were able last year, we ran an outdoor facility called the Forest. Every night it was available to us. It was booked up by student societies, sports clubs, colleges, no matter what the weather. And believe me, socialising outside in a Yorkshire winter takes real commitment. On top of all that, our students' unions were so inventive, working with my colleagues to identify student needs and solve them, including hundreds of 4G boosters for students with unreliable Wi-Fi, including Christmas hampers in December 2020 for students unable to travel home, delivered to their door by special arrangement with Morrison's. And beyond all that, our students rallied to support their community in the city. Our COVID test site on campus, a community test centre open to everyone in the city, has been staffed throughout by students. Students have volunteered in the community in all sorts of ways. One that stands out for me was our student tea and coffee club, which before COVID held coffee mornings on campus to provide companionship and conversation for elderly citizens in York. Couldn't do that, of course, with COVID for obvious reasons, but they pivoted straight away to phone conversations, help with shopping, socially distant chats across the garden fence, all sorts of wonderful things, and only one of many great examples. Our students, including you, our new graduates, have shown tremendous resilience, commitment and compassion. Thank you for all you've done and the way that you've dealt with the challenges of the last 2 years. Another round of applause, I think. And I noticed earlier as you were traversing the stage, some of you turning around and waving to family and friends, and yells and shouts and cheers of various kinds coming back the other way. Well, I want also to thank your family and friends, including those in the hall today. They will also have been of tremendous support in this challenging period over the last couple of years, with advice, companionship, the occasional shoulder to cry on, perhaps doing a bit of laundry here and there, and no doubt helping out financially too. So graduates, if you would, I'd like you to stand up and turn to wherever your supporters are in this hall and give them a great big cheer and clap. Thank you very much for that. I wish you all success and happiness for the future. And I hope that you will keep in touch with us. As you crossed the platform earlier, you became members of the York Global Alumni Association. That makes you part of a club with 140,000 members in 180 countries around the world. And that's an opportunity through the association to stay in touch, share experience, help and support one another, and keep in touch with what's happening back here. We'd like you to see York as your university for life. And if you received financial support last year from our Emergency Student Support Fund, you have our alumni to thank. They donated hundreds of thousands of pounds which went to you, our students. One day, you too may be able to help future students at the university. And please, do think hard about your experience at York during COVID. You are a unique generation of graduates. You have the same academic credentials as earlier generations. Like them, you've worked hard, you've mastered your subjects, you've got your degrees. But you have something more. You've had COVID to contend with as well. I think this university and this city had a distinctive, almost instinctive approach to COVID, based in compassion and solidarity, looking out for each other. You were part of that. It's an example of our values, of what a commitment to public good can mean. I hope you'll take that with you as you move into the next stage in your life. As Dame Sharon White signalled earlier, you can be sure it's something that future employers will value. I'm going to finish the ceremony next by showing a video which was part of a submission which led us to being shortlisted for University of the Year because of the way we responded to COVID. I hope it will help you remember and reflect on how our community came together. Thank you very much.
Student at the University of York is one of the 2 Chinese citizens who have tested positive for the coronavirus in the UK.
So this statement from Public Health England confirming that the killer virus here had been staying in York.
The coronavirus is a student at the University of York.
When the first case in the UK was discovered here in York, I was visiting one of our partner universities, Maastricht in the Netherlands. Being the first case, there was obviously no script for us to follow. But at the same time as having the world's media looking at us, everybody was here. We brought together a contingency group, medical experts, others who could help us think through the issues that we might face, and we worked from the outset with the City Council and the other educational institutions in the city. Well, we knew very little about the virus at the time, and our overriding concern was to keep people safe and to give them the reassurance that we could, and to prepare for what followed, what became probably the most challenging year the university has ever faced.
At the time, I think emotions were kind of all over the place. There was so much uncertainty, which provided you a little bit of fear for the unknown and panic about what's going to happen next. The university was brilliant in that regard. They set up a phone line for students, for parents, for staff within the first 24 hours, and that anyone could call for any questions and reassurance.
The key thing was listening to students and making sure that they could see leadership, and also a lot of compassion and kindness, because it was an uncertain time both for staff and for students. One of the main things the university did was introduce the Emergency Student Support Fund, one of the first universities in the UK to do so, recognising that students would lose things like part-time work and there'd be various financial challenges facing students, and that was really important to give students that financial certainty wherever they were.
We actually listened to what students and staff had to say, and with students we listened to what they had to say through their elected student representatives, being members of our contingency groups, and also by conducting pulse surveys as well, so that we captured the mood and indeed what students actually wanted, and we responded to that. We managed to get all of our teaching and learning online within a week of the pandemic starting, which I think is a remarkable achievement. We provided roughly about 6,000 welfare calls or checks on students in self-isolation. Throughout the pandemic, we actually provided lockdown loot for students as well, so we provided food, treats, activity packs, and even hampers at Christmas as well.
So clearly we would expect the university to step into the knowledge space and provide a greater, deeper understanding of the virus. However, the University of York went much further than that. It engaged communities, it's provided open access to equipment and facilities and space. It provided us with leadership and support and was very much a partner in dealing with the impacts of the pandemic on this city.
What I've learnt about the University of York community in the last year is that we are incredibly resilient and resourceful, that we're compassionate, that when we say that we're a university for public good, we actually live it as well, and it's about being a community that works together. I have a number of favourite stories from students. Actually, one concerns students actually working with elderly members of the local community to ensure that they could get access to the internet. So they provided training sessions and support so that these people could actually contact their relatives.
The founders of this university talked 60 years ago of what we, our staff, our students, would do to ameliorate human life and conditions. What a sense of purpose for a university to have, and my goodness, how much it has been our compass over the last year. That's what defines the University of York. I now declare this congregation closed. Thank you so much for being here. Please rise.